Hi, good evening, students. Welcome to my class on solutions chapter. Solutions chapter. This is class 12, chapter number 2. From this chapter, there are some typical questions are going to come in the examination. Recently, what happened? They discussed about the one colligative property called depression and freezing point question in the examination. So, likewise, every year they are asking frequently their questions from this chapter. This chapter can be observed into two parts. The first part is always telling about the types of solutions, classification, and as well as concentration terms and all these things. When it comes to the second part, we will call that as most important part for the examination pointer, that is colligative properties. So today we are going to start this chapter with the first part of this chapter is nothing but solutions and their classifications. Okay, let us start that topic. Here what will happens, how you will define a solution. When you try to define a solution, you must know what will happens when two different physical states combines. When you mix two physical states, what will happens, whether they are different physical states, then what kind of other physical state you are getting after the mixing of the physical states. That means majorly solids, liquids and gases, we know, but you need a minimum of two physical states, two different components required for the preparation of a solution. So when you are preparing a solution, minimum number of components required for the preparation of solution is 2, and after the preparation of a solution, there should not be any kind of boundary between the components. That means after mixing also, if you are saying it is solution, the solution looks like uniform composition. That means that we'll call it as homogeneous mixture. So very simply, how you will define a solution is nothing but a homogeneous mixture. Yes, what will happens, composition may be varied within certain limits of the components present in the solution, and that components composition, even though it varies, we will get a mixture uniform or homogeneous mixture. Usually we will call clear solution. When you take liquids, for instance, if you take liquids, two different liquids you are taking, or one solid you are taking and one liquid you are taking, okay, and the solid and liquid mixed, we got the final result mixture, the mixture looking very clear solution. That one of the physical state is completely changed to other physical state, but one of the component in the solutions will decide the physical state of the entire solution, and the other solution will completely disperse into that one. So in this discussion, the component which is giving the physical state, exact physical state to the solution, that component is said to be solvent. So here in this juncture, maybe little confusion. What is that one is, if you take solid and liquid, you prepared a solution, you are calling the physical state of solution is liquid. Means you have taken the two components, and the one component is liquid state. That liquid state component is said to be in large quantity to bring about the formation of liquid state solution. So in such case, the large quantity of the component present in the solution, we will call it as solvent. The other one we will call it as solute. Here, that's why we are discussing about a solvent is that component of the binary solution which is present a large amount by mass, then the other component termed as solute. So other component is solute and large component is solvent. Whether there may be anything, that means the solvent may be any three different types of states, or solute may be any three different states of states. But to prepare a solution, what are the characteristic physical states, properties of solute and solvent? That is also an important that we're going to discuss. That means physical state of the solvent, physical state of the solute is most important before stepping into preparation of a solution. So here, for example, if you take a solution in water, that we'll call it as aqueous solution. So what is the solution in water? Solutions in water are said to be aqueous solutions. Means the entire meaning of that one is the solution in which water does not act as that one is a non-aqueous. Solution in which water acts as a solvent is called as aqueous solution. Means water in large quantity is there, and that we'll call it as aqueous solution. Whereas non-aqueous solutions like organic solvents like benzene, ether, carbon tetrachloride, non-polar solvents, anything is there, then we will call they are non-aqueous solutions. In further, we may discuss about such solutions are also alcoholic solutions. When you say the solution is alcoholic solution, means in that solution we have taken the solvent as alcohol for the preparation of that homogeneous mixture called as solution. Now we'll see the types of solutions. As you know, the types of solutions can be classified again into the major types. We have gases, liquids, and gases, solid solutions. When you are calling the solution or gaseous solutions, means the component, major component solvent should be gases in form or vapor form, and the minor component will be in the any other three different types of physical states. So in gaseous solutions, the solvent must be gas. In liquid solutions, the solvent must be liquid. In solid solutions, the solvent must be solid. So how we will understand all these things means in general we will come across so many examples in our domestic life or chemistry lab and all preparations we'll use to prepare solutions with the liquid states. But what about the solid solutions and gaseous solutions? When that question rises in our mind, then we need to check with the other scientific terminologies. That means the gases and vapor form homogeneous mixture. Therefore, these mixtures are regarded as gaseous mixtures. So all gases and vapor form homogeneous mixture. That we'll call it as gaseous solutions. Liquid solutions definition is the solutions are formed by mixing solids. Solutions are formed by mixing solids or gases in liquid states or two liquids. Example, benzene and hexane is there. You may take their substances in liquid state to elaborate about the liquid solutions. Come back to the solid solutions. These solutions are common in case of mixtures of solids. Gold and copper form solid solutions. So here we have the primary definition of what is gaseous solution, what is liquid solution, what is solid solution discussed. And 3 into 3 is 9. That means when you consider the solute is physical state gas, liquid, solid, but solvent you are considering gas means 3 will come. Liquid solutions also, if you consider solvent in liquid state, then all the three different states of solutes, if you consider liquid solutions, types will become 3 types, and solid solutions, if you take solid as a solvent, remaining 3 physical states if you keep as solutes physical states means that will give 3 different types of solutions. So in considering all these elaborations, gaseous solutions will come out with 3 types. Liquids also will come 3 types. Solid solutions also will come 3 types. But solvent should be same in one type of solutions. Okay. If you see gaseous solutions, for example, gas in gas, mixture of nitrogen and oxygen gases in air, oxygen gases. Mixture of nitrogen oxygen gases is comes under gaseous solutions. Air is also another example for a gaseous solution. Why? Because large quantity and small quantity, whether the large quantity and small quantity of components in different variations, that means their quantities may be varied. The first only told quantities may be varied, but we have to get the homogeneous mixture. Once you got the homogeneous mixture, what will happen? Definitely we'll call it as a solution. If it is observed in the case of gases, gas present in gas, that means gas and gas mixture is homogeneous mixture. Air is the best example for that case. A liquid and gas mixture. So liquid and gas, where gas is a solvent, means we'll call that is a gaseous solution. We have in chemistry point of view, chloroform is mixed with the nitrogen gas and is one of the best example in the discussion. Likewise, solid gas mixture is there. If you take the gas is a solvent and camphor and nitrogen gas and dust of smoke particles in air, these also will comes under this category of the gaseous solutions. So gaseous solutions are of three types. So how many types of gaseous solutions we have observed? We have observed three types of gaseous solutions. The one type is air, another type is chloroform and nitrogen gas, another one is solid camphor in nitrogen gas. Okay, and that is one thing we have noticed. Next, we will see liquid solutions. So when it comes to liquid solutions, what will happens? Again, the situation is same only. What is the situation here is, in these liquid solutions, yeah, oxygen dissolved in water is an example, where oxygen is a gas and water is a liquid. Carbon dioxide dissolved in water. CO2 is a gas, water is liquid, where water is liquid and the solution physical state is coming liquid. So the solvent in this one is liquid. And coming to the ethanol dissolved in water, means alcohol dissolved in water, alcohol in small quantity, water in large quantity. Liquid is a solute, liquid is a solvent. Ethanol is a solute and solvent is water. Coming to the another type in the liquid solutions, solid if you take small quantity and liquid water if you take large quantity. Like example, we have salt water and sucrose water when you are preparing sugar solution. Sugar is a solid one and you will take that one in small quantities and large quantity of water. If you take it to prepare a homogeneous mixture, what will happen is that liquid solution will be developed with the help of this solid dispersed in liquid dispersion medium. So it is one other technical word we will use to say about the mixture of one physical state into another physical state. Okay, coming to the next one. In this, next we are going to discuss about the solid solutions. In that, we have different examples. Solution of hydrogen in palladium. That is phenomena of adsorption of gases over metals, that is called as occlusion. The phenomenon is called as occlusion. We'll see that one in a solid state concept also, surface chemistry concept also. So that is one thing where hydrogen is a gas and palladium is a solid. So palladium metal is in contact with the gas in the mixture. So that phenomenon is called as occlusion. The other one, liquid solid. So liquid is small quantity mercury, solid is large quantity sodium. then we can prepare the solid solutions that are called as amalgams. Most important thing in the chemistry, amalgam is a terminology we will use that comes under actually the solid solutions. Moving on to alloy concepts. Alloys also comes under these solutions, solid solutions. We have copper dissolved in gold is a best example to illustrate, to demonstrate things in solid solutions. Okay. So these are the three main types of solutions in solid type. Now we are going to see another important point that is called as solubility. Hope you understand what is the classification of solutions. So first we have defined about the solvent, another one we have defined about the solute, and we call is aqueous solution, non-aqueous solution. And in detail also we have further classification is there of solutions. We'll call they are saturated solutions, unsaturated solutions also we will see in the discussion. Next, solubility. What do you mean by solubility? Anybody ask? The term solubility is very easy to tell, but it is not that much easy to understand. So that's why here what we're going to give you the definition for the solubility is the maximum amount of solute that can be dissolved in a given amount of solvent. See, we always keep on trying to add some solute to the solvent to make a solution. In such a case, we don't know how much solute can be added to the solvent to prepare a solution. In that, if you prepare a salt solution or sugar solution, you will easily come to know. That means if you add small quantity of sugar to the water and preparing a solution in one sample, and if you add double to that quantity, means 1 teaspoon, 2 teaspoons, assume. If you add 2 teaspoons of sugar to the water and prepare a solution, both are said to be solutions only. In the first experiment, you have taken 1 gram. In the second experiment, you have taken 2 grams of salt to prepare the solution. But you don't know how many grams of this salt, maximum amount of the salt which can be taken by this 100 grams of solvent, you don't know. So if you know that amount of solute that is maximum dissolved in 100 grams of solvent is known as solubility. That is also condition is given constant temperature, you have to define that solubility. Solubility is, in other words, you can say it is a quantity, means concentration. You can say it is concentration. That means once we are raising the concentration, that quantity of the solute to the solvent to prepare a solution, what is the maximum quantity of the solute can be added to the solvent to make it dissolved in the solution, in the solvent to make solution, that maximum quantity is solubility. So that solubility is also said to be concentration terminology, we can say in this one. In this one, we are not going to change any kind of temperature conditions. Okay. So if it is still taking the solute, then that is saturated solution. If it is not taking the solute, that is sorry, if you're adding solute, what happens? Solution is getting preparing, but you're adding the solute, preparing the solution. At that juncture, what will happen? The solvent still, it requires some solute to prepare a standard solution, means that solution is called as unsaturated solution. When you add a certain quantity of solvent, solute to the solvent, that time what will happen? It has reached the maximum quantity and you prepared a solution. The solution you called as saturated solution. And after that also you are adding this solute. It cannot get dissolved in the given 100 grams of solvent. That time you will violate the rules of the temperature conditions. That means you will increase the temperature to make the solute soluble in the solvent. In such a case, you prepared a solution called as supersaturated solution. So in that further discussion, what happens? You are preparing the solution, and in that you have to know what is the quantity of the solute you are dissolving in 100 grams of solvent, that quantity is said to be most important to tell about the terminology called as solubility. Means important terminology and definition or technical word in the solution chapter is solubility, and this can be applicable for any physical state that may be solid, that may be gas or a liquid in a liquid. Okay, so in the first case we are observing here is solubility of a gas in liquid. So a gas is dissolving in liquid, water, assume water. So that how we can understand that solubility concept. See, all the gases are soluble in water. You know, all the gases are soluble in water. Other liquids up to greater or lesser extent. So liquid to liquid and gas to gas, this tendency of solubility changes. And usually all gases are said to be soluble in water, and others liquids up to greater extent and lesser extent. Means what is the meaning of this one is, some liquids completely dissolve, get soluble in the liquid state, other liquids, and some liquids are not said to be extensively soluble in the other liquids. In this difference, what we can understand is the gas, if you compare with the liquid, they are also said to be soluble. And the solubility of the gas are said to be not only giving the discussion here, what are the factors which are responsible for the solubility of the gases is most important. You need to know the nature of the gas. You need to know the nature of the solvent and also temperature conditions and what are the effects of pressures. In that, first one, if you observe here, nature of gas. What do you mean by nature of gas? Means some of the gases are said to be easily liquefiable gases as per the concept of liquefactions and terms of the temperatures conditions like critical temperature and all these things. But the gas can be cooled to convert into liquid state. You know, when we convert a gas into liquid, the conversion of gas into liquid is called as liquefaction. That can be done easily for some gases at a given temperature, that a particular temperature. That temperature range we will call it as critical temperature, and we'll go according to the Andrews experiments and isotherms and all that condition. And the gas which can be easily liquefied are said to be more soluble in common solvents. Like we have carbon dioxide is there, more soluble than hydrogen and oxygen in water. So what is the reason behind that? One is nothing but their nature is different. The nature we are calling as liquefaction, easily gas easily liquefied when compared to other gases. Means there is a competition is there in the liquefaction of gases, in that which gas is winning the competition, means which gas is readily converting into liquid state, that gas we will select to prepare the solutions. That time we will check the solubility of the easily liquefiable gases in the liquids. The second factor is nothing but nature of solvent. So not only we are studying about the nature of the gases, we are also studying about the nature of the solvent, because gas is dissolving in liquid solvent, and liquid solvent nature is also should be studied, where the capability of producing ions in aqueous solutions are much more soluble than other solvents. Means the gases which are capable of producing ions in aqueous solutions are much more soluble than other solvents. For example, if you consider ammonia, if you consider HCl, are highly soluble in water. Ammonia and HCl highly soluble in water. We know the factors behind that one. What are the reasons behind that one? We know the reasons like hydrogen or bonding, all these things and all we will discuss in the bonding concepts. But now in the present discussion, if you consider ammonia is a gas, HCl is a gas, NH3 is a gas definitely, and HCl is also gas, and these gases if you pass into the liquid water, means the solubility of ammonia gas, solubility of HCl gas can be easily observed, because these gases are capable of producing ions in water. Okay, but not in organic solvents, and which they do not ionize. Because when you take water, the result is different. When you take organic solvents, means the non-aqueous solutions, the result is different. That means gas should be easily cooled gas, and the gas should give ions in the solution. In such a way, you have to select the aqueous solutions only, not non-aqueous solution. Aqueous solvents you will select. Okay, so that nature of the gas solvent is aqueous solvent. Next one, third important factor here is depending on the solubility of the gases in liquids is temperature. What will happen when we change the temperature? Usually the process of dissolution is an exothermic process. This is the most important point here to be noticed is the temperature, whatever is there, the temperature is playing a vital role here. I'll show you. Yeah, this temperature, whatever is there, plays vital role. As you know, the process of dissolution is the exothermic process, and the solubility of gases in general, what happens, decreases with increase in temperature. So what do you mean by dissolution is you are making the gas, allowing the gas to dissolve in liquid. In that condition, what will happen, so there will be some energies generated, released, and that's why you're calling as exothermic process. The solubility of the gas now is said to be generally, what will happens, decreases with increase in temperature. That's why most of the soft drinks and all we will observe in cold condition. That means they will be more stable in cold conditions only. We will keep them in refrigerators and all. The reason is nothing but if you are not keeping them in the refrigerators, what will happens, the temperature increases. So room temperature is higher than the temperature inside the refrigerator. Meaning is nothing but the gas escapes. The gas escapes means the gas solubility when the temperature increases is decreases. That's the meaning of that one. Or very simply to understand that this one is nothing but gas solubilities are inversely proportional to the temperatures. Another thing, fourth one, effect of pressure and Henry's law. This is most very important concept, I can say, for the examination point of view. Anybody able to tell about what will happen in the general domestic live examples of these things about Henry's law. Okay, we'll see most important application in the entire study of the solubility concepts of gases and liquids. Actually, according to Henry's law, the solubility of a gas in a liquid is said to be directly proportional to pressure of the gas over the solution at a definite temperature. So here, if you consider P is the pressure of the solution, pressure of the gas over the solution, and S is the solubility, their relation is directly proportionality. That time, if you take any kind of constant as K, that K you can call it as proportionality constant, and that K is said to be one of the important constant which will tell about the nature of the gas, which will completely gives its value changes when the gas changes. So nature of the solvent and temperature also changes the solubility in this one. So value of K is different for each gas at a particular temperature. So what is the K? K is a constant, but the constant is not an arbitrary constant. That constant is depending on the nature of the gas, nature of the solvent, and temperature. All the three factors are important in studying about the Henry's law constant. If we plot a graph between the solubility and the pressure of the gas over the liquid for oxygen and nitrogen, here we have a data collection that is about oxygen and hydrogen. If you observe here, along y-axis we have taken the solubility moles per liter, and along x-axis we have taken the pressure in atmospheres. And oxygen and nitrogen, the lines, if you observe the straight lines crossing through origin observed, this indicates that y is equal to mx form. Here we notice that is S is equal to K into P, mathematical expression for this Henry's law first discussed. So this is the graphical representation, you have to check it. Means oxygen solubility is greater when the pressure is lesser. Nitrogen solubility is greater when the pressure is more. So what is the meaning of this one is even at low pressures also oxygen able to dissolve more in the solvent when compared to nitrogen. Okay, so that is the meaning of this graphical representation. Let us see Henry's law for a mixture of two or more non-reacting gases. First what we have discussed is okay, but upon keep on studying about this Henry's law and its observations, scientists came to know that there should be Henry's law given to non-reacting gases also, and even we have to recollect the information. We have to remember what is the discussed in the Dalton's law also to understand this Henry's law in this solution chapter. So Henry's law for a mixture of two or more non-reacting gases here given as is P plus 1 by K dash into X is equals to KH into X. Here this KH whatever we are showing that pH, the KH we are showing is Henry's constant is reciprocal of this constant 1 by K dash, constant K dash. What I study here is when a mixture of two or more non-reacting gases come in contact with the solvent, then mole fraction of the gas in the solution is said to be proportional to the partial pressure of the gas. You know, what is the mole fraction? The ratio between the number of moles of gas to the total number of moles in the solution. And that is taken as P is partial pressure, as partial pressure is directly proportional to mole fraction, and that is considered here as X or chi. The chi is taken as mole fraction, and P plus 1 by K dash into X is given as KH. What is KH in this expression is Henry's law constant, and telling about the definition here is the mole fraction of the gas in the solution is proportional to the partial pressure of the gas. Okay, so in this KH is called as Henry's constant, and different gases have different values of Henry's constant at different temperature for a given solvent. So for a given solvent, this entire discussion for the Henry's constant will be different. So we will see about what is its applications, and again in the application classes we will again check with Henry's law problems. So let us see what is Henry's law, limitations, problems, its drawbacks. Henry's law holds good only during the following conditions. Here temperature should not be very low. So very low temperature is there, then what will happen? There are some problems. The pressure should not be very high. When the temperature is very low, then this mixing of the gas and liquid molecules cannot take place. Different kinetic energies also develops because of that one. The pressure should not be very high. So when the pressure is more and more, what will happen? The gas cannot be easily liquefied. Because of that one only, Henry's law experiencing problems. The gas must not chemically react with the solvent. So this is a very common drawback in this one, you know, that the non-reacting gases discussion we have done, and some of the gases if you randomly take, if the gas is reacting with the solvent, then that is not said to be a solution, because in the preparation of solution there is a fundamental need to be understand, that is there should not be any kind of interaction between the solvent and solute. So if the interaction happened, chemical reaction taken place, means according to some of the idealities of the solution, that solution is not said to be a good solution, ideal solution. So we are going according to the ideality of the solutions. In such a case, what will happen? These pressure conditions, temperature conditions, and chemical reactivity between the solvent and solute to be studied. And gas should not associate or dissociate in solvent, because some of the molecules, solutes are there. When you are preparing solution, they may undergo dissociation, the solute may undergo association. such type of solutions are also not said to be the ideal solutions. So they are behaving anomalous behavior. That means they are violating some of the rules of the fundamentals of preparation of solution. Now, hemoglobin condition once you observe here is under normal conditions oxygen gas is sparingly soluble in water. We know our life gas is oxygen. When we take the oxygen, what happens? Oxygen gas is sparingly soluble in water, so it is slowly dissolves in water. It's not rapidly. However, when oxygen comes in contact with the blood in lungs, its solubility increases many folds due to the presence of high concentration of hemoglobin. So via lungs it goes, automatically what will happen? Its solubility increases. Okay, and after that we know that this oxyhemoglobin will be developed and associate with oxygen. This hemoglobin forms oxyhemoglobin, and due to this one what will happen? This Henry's law cannot be easily understand in this case as if it undergoes dissociation. Which undergoes association or dissociation? This hemoglobin and oxygen. So hemoglobin oxygen combines, oxyhemoglobin will be formed, and this association cannot be easily understand this Henry's law. So Henry's law is not strictly followed in the case of solubility of oxygen in blood. Means pressure conditions, concentration conditions and all observed here. So Henry's law unable to explain details about why this association of hemoglobin and oxygen takes place in large extent with that high pressures and all. They are not able to explain. So this is one of the important point to be noticed. Now let us see applications of Henry's law. So these are the bad things about Henry's law. These are not advisable. So what are the favorable conditions? What are the merits? Up to now we have discussed about the demerits. Now we are discussing about the merits, means important applications of Henry's law. Soft drinks are sealed at high pressure to increase the solubility of CO2 in soft drinks. You know, that's what we discussed. Carbon dioxide gas is dissolved in water. We are preparing soda water and all these things. We have to keep this gases. That means soft drinks are sealed high pressure to increase the solubility of CO2 in soft drinks. Means when you increase the pressure, what happens? The CO2 solubility in water increases. Okay, that is first point. Rate of respiration increases at high altitude. So at high altitudes, what happens? Respiration rate increases at high altitudes, and the partial pressure of oxygen is low. Partial pressure of oxygen is low at high altitudes. That's why here rate of respiration increases. So Henry's law explaining about this partial pressures. So partial pressure is directly proportional to the number of moles of the gas, means or mole fraction of the gas. So high altitudes the concentration decreases for oxygen. So automatically what will happen? Rate of respiration increases at the high altitudes. What will happen? This results lowering in solubility of oxygen in blood also, because we discussed about oxygen's dissolution in blood, that may decreases. Because of that we may get some problems. So Henry's law will tell about the solutions for that one. That's why Henry's law is an application for such type of conditions, altitude conditions. Next, when scuba divers go deep in sea water, some of the divers, seawater divers are called as scuba divers. They go in depth of this one, and the solubility of atmospheric gas increases in blood, because atmospheric air is present over the surface of this liquid. That means surface of a lake or sea and all. Atmosphere pressure is more than the gas what we are taking inside. So that time what will happen? They come out to land. The dissolved nitrogen gas come out as a bubbling feeling. Painful sensation will come for those scuba divers. To avoid that one, what they are telling is they are also keeping some inert gases in the tanks, oxygen cylinders they are used to carry, and in that one also some noble gases like helium, if and all, if you add, then what will happens? This type of problem cannot be easily observed. So anoxia is a disease also will be noticed due to this problem. So Henry's law application is telling about soft drink application, preparation of soft drinks, and telling about the preparation of food at high altitudes, and telling about the scuba divers precautions. Okay, they are the most important applications of Henry's laws. Hope you have understand this session, and next session I will talk about the terms used for expressing the concentration of solutions. Okay, in this present session I've spoke about the solutions introduction, types of solutions, solubility, and solubility of a gas and liquid. After that, number of factors, the different types of factors that are responsible for the solubility of a gas and liquid, and Henry's law definition, and all these given things given, formula also given. After that, given limitations as well as application of Henry's laws. Okay, so hope you understand this class. I'll meet you in the next class and continuing this terms, important concentration terms and all, and vapor pressure of solutions in the next session. Until, have a nice day. Bye bye.